edition of Talk of Champions Short Sessions. I'm your host, Zach Berry. We're going to get into some good stuff today, some interesting topics, big time things that move the needle for Ole Miss football and Ole Miss athletics. We'll get to our guest here in a moment. Before we do that, we'll remind you of the sponsor that powers this show and our studio, and that is College Corner. If you don't know by now, 3 locations. They got Flowood, Ridgeland, and there is one in Oxford now. Sisk Avenue, go check them out. Brand new space. It's fantastic. Scott and the folks over there do a wonderful job. You need to get some polos. You need to get some gifts, maybe some tailgating supplies to get ready for baseball, which is here in a couple weeks. Or if you want to get a big head start for football, go in there. They got all your tailgating supplies. They got Real Tree gear. They have Peach Bowl champions gear. Probably still got some College World Series champions gear in there somewhere, but go in there. You can find anything you need, Ole Miss related. If you can't, go in person. If you're more of a digital guy, if you can't get in there analog style, you can always go to collegecornerstore.com. Everything you need. They got the hoop and the sip gear that's been so popular the last couple of weeks. If you've seen the players, you've seen people around the team wearing that. College Corner has got it. So check them out, collegecornerstore.com or any of the 3 locations. All right, bringing our guest now, none other than Javon Patterson, busy man, director of former student-athlete relations at Ole Miss, played in the NFL and obviously played at Ole Miss. Javon, good morning. Appreciate you joining us, man.
Good morning, man. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, so yeah, let's get into it. So I have an idea of what you do for a living, but a lot of people might not have any clue, or maybe they need a little bit of a deeper dive. So I guess just walk us through kind of what happened after the NFL. You get back to Oxford. Kind of what was the the chain of events there?
Yeah, man. So obviously, my time at Ole Miss was spectacular. We use the term student athlete, and I think one of the things that I prided myself in was doing both at a high level. Credits to Jen Saxon, who's our senior women's administrator. Credit to her for being my mentor during that time. Get me prepared for life after football. Obviously NFL, some may joke and say not for long, and sometimes that's true. I got 3 good years in, which I was incredibly grateful for those opportunities. Got some friends, coaches, GMs that I still stay in contact with to the same day. But when I got done, I was looking at some post-career stuff, knew I wanted to get in athletics, just didn't know where. We had a chance to talk to Keith and his vision for Ole Miss athletics, and as you see, he's just done an incredible job of, making coaching changes, administration team and things like that. One of his visions that he had for me was, he wanted me to come back and help out with former student athlete engagement. And I took that deep heartedly and went to work with that. So Fowler Staines and Keith hired me on at the Ole Miss Athletic Foundation as an associate director of former student athletes. And so with that, what that entails is, I was helping out getting former student athletes back that had been missing over the last couple of years, but to create, this connection between former student athletes and current student athletes. And that can look different in a bunch of different ways, but, I'm reaching out to people who don't get a chance to come back as much. In our office and our foundation, we're raising money for athletics program, the champions now. Also we deal, our annual fund deals with the season ticket holders, suite renewals, all that type of stuff. And so with that, I'm getting people back through all sports. I want people to know that I work in all sports, whether that's football, basketball, women's basketball, softball, track, rifle, all the above. And I'm grateful for that. And with that, my relationship with Jessica Lynch and the M Club has been just tremendous. We do a good job of just, making sure that we're engaging all former student athletes at all levels, whether that's on the road, whether that's come back in the games for events, and making sure that we meet that goal that Keith wants. So with that, obviously we're in the fundraising business and need funds for our champions now. Football has their project, softball. Recently we just had some stuff with baseball that's come out. So with that, we are raising money, and what I've been, tagged with is, getting those guys back involved, but want them to know first that their time at Ole Miss was very substantial. What their experience was what they did was incredible. So getting them back, getting them involved, getting them engaged with coaches, getting them engaged with athletics, is the main purpose. You know what I mean? And with that, they're able to give, they're able to come back and contribute to what they had success at Ole Miss. And so that's a little bit of rundown of what I do and how we do it. Also, we handle our NFL boxes, our MLB boxes, and then some NBA boxes that we have with guys in there. And then, we've done some tennis stuff for, some people that have played over.
Before we get into kind of the nuts and bolts of the former player aspect and getting,
Mhm.
you know, men and women back on campus, you mentioned Keith Carter, and I do want to ask because it's brought up a lot. You mentioned the hires and
Mhm.
you know some home runs there,
Mhm.
but how big of an advantage is it for what you do and everybody else in your office and with the administration? How big of an advantage is it to have Keith, who is a former athlete himself, and he kind of gets it? How big of a help is that with what y'all do?
It's tremendous. I go from Keith first. Keith played basketball here, so he gets it. He's been through Ole Miss through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that experience, and then you have our CEO, Denson Hollis. His dad played football here. And then we have a bunch of other athletes in the office as well. My supervisor, Matt McLaughlin, he played baseball at Jacksonville State, things like that. So with this competitive edge that we have, we're able to go in, we're able to talk to these donors, and we're able to give that experience that we see on a daily basis from the student athlete experience. To give them an update of what their funds are going to and how they contribute and how they make the impact of student athletes' lives better. So with that, just that understanding of athletics, understanding of sports, day-to-day life that these, men and women go through, it really helps on the back end of our conversations. And not to mention Ben Van Cleve National Championship. He's on our
Yeah,
staff. You know
yeah.
his perspective from his national championship run into what he's been able to do has been incredible.
I know, like right now, we say it a lot and we hear it a lot. I'm sure you guys say it a lot on social media, but no better time to be at Ole Miss with all the success going on with athletics and the
Mhm.
school is thriving. I mean, I think it's what 3 years in a row. It's the biggest freshman incoming class, so the
Right.
school is growing at a rapid rate. But what's been the biggest, I guess, hurdle to get people more engaged and get them coming back? Because I don't know. You would know. I anticipate everyone enjoyed their time at Ole Miss and
Mhm.
loved college, but outside of the normal family logistics and life logistics, what's kind of the biggest hurdle for you to kind of get those things coordinated to get people back to campus?
I mean, the biggest hurdle, man, is just, we're trying to get the younger generation back as well, because that's a big piece that we miss. And obviously you said the life hurdles. That's been our biggest thing. I mean, as you know, we're doing so well in sports, so economy's rising, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Just to get them back at the right time, you know what I mean? Because obviously people want to come back for the big games, big weekends and things like that, which causes, great for hotels, great for stuff going around, restaurants and stuff. But sometimes that plays a big factor in that. And demographics of where people live at. Some people on the West Coast, Midwest, up north, Northwest, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
on Northeast. And it's just hard for people to get back, and then on top of families and stuff. But that's been the biggest hurdle. But we've been able to kind of eliminate some of those hurdles with spreading out different events that we have for different sports. I know one thing we've been doing lately is having an all former student athlete event every year on the big football weekend, which has been huge. Last year, out of all our letter winners, we had about 350, I would say, that came last year, and a
Oh
representative
wow.
from each sport, and it was incredible to see that. So just continue to build on that, and those things. But I would say the biggest hurdle has just been the demographic of everybody spread out everywhere.
Mm-hmm. As far as you played football, so you know a lot of guys that you played with and just former football players. Um, what's been the biggest takeaway in conversations with former players and seeing the new Manning Center and meeting the new staff and kind of the growth and hype around Ole Miss football? Because I mean, this is
Yeah.
I've said it's probably the most anticipated season
Mhm.
ever in the history of the program in 2024. So what have those conversations been like? Are you hearing more from former players like, hey, I want to come back, like I want to come see this team?
No doubt, man. It's been a lot of guys, especially, the brand Ole Miss speaks for itself. Especially when you're winning at a high level, championship level. So those conversations are steady. People are like, man, look at this transfer here. I think I text and call Dante Moncrief every day. We go back and forth. Man, look at these guys coming in. Hey, this is what it's supposed to look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With some real deal talent. So those conversations mean a lot with those guys, and they're eager to get back. Within scheduling conflicts of what they have, they're eager to get back. They're very very praising of what Lane has done with his staff. How everything is going, and so it's been impressive.
You bring up Lane, and a good segue there, because I want to ask. I know in recent years, and I guess maybe the last decade or so, before Kiffin was hired, and there was a lot of coaching changes, and there were a lot of rumblings of former players didn't come back a lot, or they didn't come back enough. How's the current staff been with an open door policy to former players?
It's been a great relationship with that. They're always inviting them back. I know we just had a coaching change, but last year had a couple receivers come back, and they're able to speak to receiving cores. DBs who come back, D line. DJ Jones is always mentoring kids. Royce Newman comes back, offensive line. Things like that, man. Laramie talked to a couple of guys, but it's been a very open door policy for them. I mean, they're very appreciative of that. When they come to town, they're able to go in, go get a workout with Coach Savage and the crew. Jordan Sims is on that staff, so having those familiar faces help out as well. But they're all the coaches know that the past is the past, and those kids who laid out that foundation for them to be where they are right now, and they know what that means to them.
So you obviously you want everybody to know that you do all sports, not just football. You're not
Yeah,
focused on just football.
Yeah.
I know y'all got some things going, some stadium improvements and some amenities being added, but are there any initiatives that maybe have not launched yet that you might want to touch on, or maybe hint at, or whatever? I don't know if you can give anything away, but any kind of new projects that are on the horizon?
Nah, everything that's been out has been what's going on. But I do want to say, since it was National Women's and Sports Day yesterday, we do have our Empower, that's under our umbrella of Vaught Society. We highlight our women in sports. That's a big initiative that we pushed out last April, and looking to continue those goals. I put out that statement the other day of with a team effort, we're looking to get to our goal of 150 former student athletes giving, and had a couple inquiries about that as soon as that went out. So people are getting the message. People are understanding, that we gotta step up in big ways, and it's very fun to see Ole Miss and Rebel Nation come together.
The College Corner is headed to Oxford. Stop by their new location in the Oxford Commons off Sisk Avenue. They'll have 4,000 square feet of Rebel gear ready for your trip to the Grove. On your next trip to Oxford, stop by the College Corner or our other great locations in Ridgeland and Flowood. Hats, shirts, polos, pullovers, sweats, t-shirts. College Corner has it all. And as always, you can visit us online at collegecornerstore.com. That's collegecornerstore.com. The College Corner, where your game day apparel meets.
Are you looking at cutting your health insurance premiums by as much as 20 to 30%? Are you aging into Medicare and need help finding a Medicare supplement plan? Call Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group at 601-953-8449. Drew is an Ole Miss grad located in Mississippi and licensed in 7 states. He works with the nation's second largest health insurance brokerage with access to 35 different carriers, and he can help you with any of your health insurance needs. From regular health plans to life insurance to dental and vision and even Medicare, he has it all covered. Now more than ever, it is critical to have a health insurance agent who is local and accessible. So call Drew Moak at 601-953-8449 and get your free quote today.
A new year has arrived. What's your resolution for 2024? How about making sure the roof over your head is well taken care of? Riverland Roofing is here for all your roofing needs. Whether it's an inspection, a new roof, or a maintenance program, Riverland Roofing has you covered, home or business, to give you peace of mind in the new year. As a GAF Master Elite contractor, they can offer warranties that last a lifetime. Riverland Roofing is licensed and insured to service Mississippi and its surrounding states. So give Riverland Roofing a call today and make sure you and yours are protected all year round. Call Riverland Roofing at 662-644-4297. That's 662-644-4297. Visit them online at riverlandroofing.com, riverlandroofing.com. It's Riverland Roofing for all of your roofing needs, a proud sponsor of the Talk of Champions podcast network.
So you put out that statement the other day about the Vaught Society, and for those that may not know or aren't familiar with the Vaught Society, because you've got the Alumni Association, you've got the athletics, foundation and everything. But what is the Vaught Society for those that may not know, and kind of what's the goal, or what's the the mission statement there?
Yeah, so it's our philanthropic giving initiative that we have that supports our student athletes directly, and the impact of what they do on a day basis. So we launched the Champions Now campaign in 2021, I believe, in the Sugar Bowl, and we have our number of 175 million that we're raising. And so with that impact, we're soliciting our major gifts of 25,000 or above, and it's a 5-year commitment. So we're looking for people to step up in big ways with that, having fun with it. People are we're up to about 740 members,
Wow.
in right now, which is impressive for us from where we were last year. With that, we have our 79 former student athletes in that number. So it's been great. Like I said, people have stepped up in tremendous ways, and we're so grateful. And you want Ole Miss to keep winning on a high level, and our donors are stepping up in huge ways.
All right, Javon, we can't do a podcast without talking NIL. And I mean, it is kind of the forefront of college football right now. And look,
Yeah.
Ole Miss has honestly been kind of the poster child for NIL and a successful collective. We mentioned Keith Carter and how critical it is that he's a former player as an AD, and he gets it. Kind of the same thing with the Grove Collective, right? With Walker Jones, he played at Ole Miss, ton of experience with Under Armour. So he gets it, but just how is that relationship with the collective working so closely with the athletic foundation and with the school and everything? I mean, how big of an advantage has that been? And I mean, I think it kind of answers itself with how successful Ole Miss has been in the portal.
it does answer itself. I will say one thing that Keith has done is just from an athletic standpoint, encouraging that donors have to step up in both. You know what I mean? I think that's been the case so far, and a lot of people say, does it impact the foundation and stuff like that? And I just say that we're on pace to have a really great year, both. But what Walker and his team has done over there has been tremendous to get people to get in that. And so I think that Rebel Nation just keeps stepping up in major ways, and you can see it on and off the field as we continue to finish up these projects, and as our recruiting classes in all sports are doing very well.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, or I guess put anyone else on the spot, but former student athlete relations. So are there any names out there that you haven't gotten on campus yet that you're working hard to get them back on campus?
I would say everybody's receptive to everything. I mean, everybody's been back at the respective times. So, all the big names have been back. So that hasn't been, an issue. Brian Tyree will be here next week, playing Missouri at home. That'd be cool to have him back. So
yeah,
it's been good. The receptive, it's been really good. Really good.
Okay. People may not recognize Brian. He's got the new hairstyle now. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess you don't really have to beg Eli Manning to come back much. He kind of comes and goes. So let's talk a little bit about you. I know you played in the NFL and kind of as a former player, what was because you played in a lot of high level games at Ole Miss. You're very successful career. That was kind of when Ole Miss kind of got to the national spotlight for the first time in a long time. But what was kind of the transition from high level SEC football, and just how different was it going to the pros? And maybe another question that answers itself, because it's the best of the best. It's the NFL. But how was that?
Our guys, when we were playing, man, I mean, we were at the highs of the highs, lows of lows. I mean, which is kind of what you get in NFL. And I think our guys were very mature on our team. About, I think, 9 out of the 11 offensive starters were drafted over the course of 2 years. Rather he has some transfers and stuff like that. But, with those guys, I mean, that transition to the NFL, I mean, our brand stood for itself. People who were taken from Ole Miss were, looked highly upon, and, expected to come in and contribute, which a bunch of those guys did. I mean, you got two handfuls of guys that made very good impacts from that team. Um, you know, like you said, it does speak for itself. Just how you go into how you treat those. You're coming into a different world. It's a business, and I think that's kind of where we're at now in college athletics a little bit. But it's a business, and it was great. Had a great time. My time in the NFL was great. Went to the Colts. Speak highly of Chris Ballard and his team. And then was able to get on to the Giants, and then with the Browns with Andrew Berry, which was great, and then on to the Broncos. So had a great experience in my time.
What was your favorite place out of all the NFL teams you're with? What was your favorite place to live?
I had to say Indy. Indy was great, even though
Oh,
the weather was bad. But between Indy and Denver, they were very two good places to live.
I would have guessed Denver.
And Denver was great, but I didn't get a chance to go downtown much. But
Yeah.
it was great. It was great.
Kind of lightning round here to close out, but
Yeah.
so we'll do like 2-part question. So on the Ole Miss team and then an opponent, who is the freakiest guy that you ever either lined up across from or had to, I guess, yeah. Who's kind of the freakiest guy you ever had to block? Either in practice at Ole Miss and then an opponent.
I would definitely have to say Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons he speaks for himself. I mean, the way
he's doing all right.
He's doing all right. Nah, he was great from the time he came into the SEC to the time he got to the league. I mean, it's been incredible for what he's been able to do at a high level at all times.
What about in practice? What about at Ole Miss?
Would definitely have to say Robert Condici my freshman year. That's what got me going to be able to start. Getting adjusted, came in early, getting thrown into the fire, getting to block him every day.
How was that as a true freshman having to block him?
Getting very humble, very, very quickly. Then you get a couple plays, you're like, okay, this is you can block him a little bit, and but he was a very dominant player, so I was happy to him to start my career off like that.
All right, favorite spot to eat in Oxford.
Favorite spot to eat? Well, definitely have to say Obie's. Big Obie's fan.
Okay. You get Rotel on the fries?
Rotel cheese fries, good club sandwich, good po' boy. I mean, you name it.
All right. Let's say this one might be easy too, but what was your kind of fondest memory as a student?
Fondest memory as a student. I mean, it would definitely have to be the games that I played. I mean,
Yeah.
I go into my freshman year, we're playing Florida in a real swamp. I mean, it was rainy.
Yeah.
You go into Death Valley, late at night. I mean, places shaking. You beat Bama at Bama. So those moments really, really, really honed into me, which I had an incredible time.
So the play in the Sugar Bowl, Laramie catches the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
How often was that play practiced? Was that
Towards
something
the,
that was put
towards
in
the end
bowl
of the
week or
year,
was it all year?
it was bowl week.
Okay.
And we threw it in kind of Mississippi State week, but never did it. But came in at bowl week, and it was pretty impressive what he was able to do. I mean, Laramie's freakish athlete, so was very blessed to play beside him.
Was it? Did you think it was going to work?
Oh, most definitely knew it was gonna work. I mean, nobody knew that was even gonna come. I mean, didn't have anybody see it in practice. I mean, so it was great. It worked on defense every day, so it was good.
That was a good defense too.
I know that
pretty
was
good. It
was
worked
really
on them.
good defense.
All right, last thing here. Like I said, probably one of the more hyped seasons ever in program history for football. Getting a lot of top 10, top 5 preseason love.
Mm-hmm.
All the, transfer portal guys coming in. What's kind of you can give me a win-loss prediction, but what are your expectations for this team with the expanded playoff, and there's no more divisions, so there's no East-West, so it'll just be top 2 teams in the SEC. What are your expectations for this team this fall?
I don't like to get win-loss records, but for the team, I'm expecting these veteran guys, to go in and compete at a very high level and be consistent with it. I know they know what it takes to get there. Had a great season last year, which you even got to train even harder and play even harder. you got to be locked in even better this year. So I'm expecting a very consistent team from what we had, because they know what it takes to win. When you go down to the stretch at Georgia, and what they look like and what we played, you go down to what Bama had. We could have won that game. Just those things, and we're really looking forward to see how they come out in year 2 of having those veteran guys.
All right, and kind of a bonus one since you mentioned Georgia.
Yeah.
What was probably the best road environment you ever played in as a player?
I mean, you got 3 good ones that I mentioned earlier, which was the Florida, LSU, and Bama. I mean, Bama, you were always gonna get that. LSU, we're always gonna get it. But I'll say my best experience, even though we lost, was that Florida game. I mean, you look back, and they're chomping away with the claps in unison. I mean, that was pretty impressive to see.
Yeah. All right, well, that will do it for this edition of Talk of Champions Short Sessions. Javon, if you want to give the folks at home just kind of a, hey, where they can find you if they need any information, let them know where, Twitter, whatever, website, whatever you want to tell them to check out.
Yeah, man, check out givetoathletics.com. We have a bunch of information of our team on there, things like that. And so really looking forward to everybody. If you have any questions, please reach out. Emails, everybody's emails on there. If you have any questions about anything, so get in touch.
All right, that is Javon Patterson, Director of Former Student Athlete Relations for Ole Miss. That will do it. Appreciate College Corner powering the show here and all the rest of the sponsors that bring it to you. And of course, thanks to you, the listener, for tuning in. For Javon, I'm Zach. This has been Talk of Champions Short Sessions. Until next time, we out.